I think we've changed from the teeny bopper days of Obla D, in respect that at the time when we had our first hit record and we had Obla D, we were really worried about our appearances on stage, on television. When we had like a hairdresser account every week, we used to go to the hairdressers, all of us, and our clothes were sort of, you know, all the bit as you go through.
I don't think that we were any more or less interested in publicity than any other pop music band. And if I want to wear a dress, that's my business. I wouldn't say anything funny to you if you were sitting there interviewing me in a dress. I think I looked pretty great in that picture that originally appeared in Melody Maker where I was sitting there. I thought that it was really entertaining. Everybody around the house thought it was entertaining when they took the picture. We had gotten the whole band over to my apartment in New York and just decided that we were going to take something other than the group picture where everybody stood next to each other like this. Thought we'd try something a little bit different.
Publicity stunts we used quite a lot 2 or 3 years ago. All sorts of weird things were used, like things where somebody's van was shot at the M1 and there were bullet holes in the side and pictures and front pages of the national newspapers and this kind of thing, or somebody breaks his leg and has it all done up in plaster and hobbles into the centre pages of one of the nationals. But recently the kids won't be hyped by this sort of rubbish. The general public won't be hyped very easily. You can't hype them very easily. Groups really need to prove themselves, and with Free, we just got them working and working. And we tried. They made a couple of albums which sold very, very well. Again, enhanced their name, got them more work, got them seen in more places. We managed to get them on good concerts, good festivals. And then in the recording studio on making their third album, which was called Fire and Water, they came across a record which they entitled All Right Now. We listened to it when we were listening to the album. We thought, it's a great single. Let's release it as a single. It'll help sell the album. We didn't spend thousands and thousands of pounds in saying, watch out, here comes the greatest group in the world. We just let people discover themselves. And we found it very interesting that it's a great way. People tend to feel as though they've discovered the group. In Newcastle, you get little girls from Newcastle writing as soon as they got their hit record, saying, "Oh, make sure they don't sell out to the pop world. I saw them first," you know, and they go around and tell their friends, and like everybody feels excited for the group because they feel that they were the first to see them.
The disc jockey isn't nearly as important as everybody thinks that he is. I mean, he is important, but he shouldn't be, is what I'm trying to say. You know, disc jockeys are sort of constantly courted by everybody because they do have a lot of influence. Again, I think not as much as people think. I mean, one play on a Tony Blackburn programme is worth 10 plays on a Top Gear, you know, which is just the way it is, and it doesn't really matter all that much. But some of them I think, you know, rather overdo the being pop stars and being influential men, and because you know damn well, I mean, I know damn well if my BBC contracts were torn up tomorrow, you wouldn't interview me if I had my head cut off, you know, and still, I mean, it wouldn't matter a thing. And people wouldn't calling me up and saying, "Hey John, listen man, groovy, listen, how about coming to lunch? Far out," you know, a little script of groovy remarks to make. And these sort of things, you know, that's a bit annoying. I was come across as a very cynical and embittered man, actually, from all of this. But, you know, obviously wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy it. And I do feel that if you can get, or feel that in some way you're instrumental for just one thing, like, for example, someone like Captain Beefheart, who I regard as being one of the most interesting people in music today, you know, just interesting in every possible way. And if you can get a lot of people listening to Captain Beefheart, whether they listen to him because it's a cult thing or because they really listen, doesn't really matter that much, because if they listen to it as a cult thing, then the chances are they'll get into it properly eventually anyway. But if you can do something like that, you know, it's worth all the ludicrous nonsense you have to go through to do it.
Executives of the labels no longer trust themselves to determine what the youth market wants. They used to think they could give them anything and they'd accept anything, and it no longer really is true. And the youth, because of all the pop concerts and festivals and things of this nature, have been able to build their own sort of heroes, and if a label wants to survive today, they have to accept the music that comes from those artists that are going to sell.
I mean, the phenomenal success of someone like Joe Cocker in the States, no businessman would have ever predicted that Joe Cocker was or wasn't going to be a big hit. The kids just like listening to him and were going to see him more than anyone else at the moment, and so the industry just has to go along with it, and long may that continue, you know.